Hello students, welcome back to Math Online. I am Mr. Solis, and on today's video, we will review about proportions. Are you all ready for this? Let's do this. All right, so today we're reviewing proportions. So today you will be able to solve proportions by using the cross product property. Okay, so all we need is one property in order to solve proportions. Okay, so that's the goal of today. So let's get to the next slide. So now let's define what a proportion is. A proportion is a statement that two ratios are equal. So what does that mean to us? What does that mean to us? So this is what it means. A proportion is literally just two fractions equal to each other. Okay. So for instance, we can have, let's see if we can write in here. Hopefully it writes nice and neat, guys. It's not the best tool here. I'm using the mouse, but let's give it a shot. So a proportion could be two fractions equal to each other, such as 1 over 2 equal to an equivalent fraction, right? And in this case, we can say 5 over 10. So even though these two fractions have different numbers, we know as a fact that they are equivalent, okay? If we were to reduce 5 over 10, it would give us 1 over 2. So these two fractions are the same, okay? You can turn them into decimals if you want, and you'll see that they are exactly the same, okay? And how do we do that? Some of you guys asking, just grab a calculator, type in 1 divide 2, hit enter, and you should get a decimal, right? I believe you should get 0.5 or 0.5. And then you do the same thing, clear the screen, you can clear the calculator, type in 5 divide 10, hit enter, and you'll once again see 0.5 or 0.5, okay? So you can see that they're actually equivalent. So even though they have different numbers, they are still equal fractions, equivalents, okay? So that's what a proportion is. Two fractions equal to each other, okay? They're created by two different ratios. Sometimes they're known as ratios, but a ratio is just a fraction, okay? I want you to understand what a proportion is. A proportion is just two fractions equal to each other. So moving on then. Now that we have a proportion, we understand what a proportion is, just two fractions equal to each other. Let's understand how the cross product property will help us to solve a proportion, okay? So now, this is in general here. We have letters, right? A, B, C, and D. No big deal. So this is what's going to happen. The cross product rule helps us to get rid of fractions, because I understand all of us, we see a fraction, we freak out, we get scared, we shut down. But no need to panic. The cross product property will help us to get rid of these fractions so that we have an easier equation to work with, okay? All right, so here's the idea. So what we want to do is to cross multiply. So we're going to take B times C. So we're going to write our new statement, B times C equal to the next product. And the next product would be D times A. Okay, so then I would write D times A. Okay, let me make this longer so it looks like a D. There it is. All right, so as you can see, we had two fractions equal to each other. Now we have an equivalent equation, right? But with no fractions. And that's going to make it a lot easier for us to find for the missing value, the missing variable, the unknown variable, okay? So that's how the cross product works. That's what it does. It helps us to get rid of those fractions. It makes our life easier. So let's move on to some scenarios now. All right, so first example, solve each proportion, okay? So what we're going to do is apply the cross product rule that I mentioned earlier. And the reason why we use that is to solve this problem, to solve this proportion by getting rid of those fractions and making our problem a lot easier for us. Because I know we do always panic when we see fractions. But like I said, there are actually different methods to solve this. I believe this is the easiest one. So this is the way I do things. So let's do this. So now, here we go. Let's apply the cross product. So we're going to multiply this value across the other value. So that would be 2 times x, right? In other words, equal to the other product, right? Product just means the other multiplication. So in other words, 5 times 6. And we'll write 5 times 6. So now, let's simplify this out. We have 2 times x, which will give us 2x, right? So it'll be 2x equal to, what's 5 times 6? I hope everyone said 30. Okay, so there it is, 30. Awesome. Now, we have a simple equation to work with, right? So no more fractions. And you've seen these equations in Math 1. So here's the thing. This is a simple linear equation. What you want to do is isolate x, find the missing value. What is that value that makes the statement true, right? Some of us can probably already see it from looking at the equation, which is awesome. But if you haven't, no big deal. So now we will use inverse operation to solve the problem. So now we have an easier equation with no fractions. And what you want to do in order to isolate the variable is use inverse operation. Inverse operation is doing the opposite of what your operation had or initially. So in this case, 2 times x has a multiplication operation. So the opposite of that would be division, just like the opposite of addition is subtraction. X by itself, we need to get rid of the 2 then, right? So if you want to get rid of the 2, you have to do the opposite of your operation, right? So if this was multiplication, the opposite of that would be division. So we're going to divide both of these sides, right? If what you do to one side, you have to do it to the other. So we're going to divide by 2 to get rid of the 2, right? And leave x by itself. So we're dividing by 2. And 2 over 2 just becomes 1. So we're left with x. It doesn't cancel, guys. It just becomes 1. Okay? So now 30 over 2, when we simplify this, we should get 15. And now we solve the mystery. We solve our problem. Our answer is x is equal to 15. So the value of x is 15. Okay? Once again, if you didn't quite get this, please watch the video again. All right, so now we have another scenario, really similar, another proportion, 2 fractions equal to each other, and we want to solve for k, right? So we want to isolate the k. So in order to do that, we have to apply the cross product rule. So let's go ahead and do this. Let's apply the cross product rule, like I mentioned before. And like I said before, all we're doing is just cross multiplying. This denominator gets multiplied by this numerator, right? The bottom number times the top number, multiplying across. So that would give us 2k, right? So 2 times k, in other words, equal the other product. So that would be 4 times 8 or 8 times 4. It'll be the same thing. So 4 times 8 in this case, we'll skip a step, or let's not skip the step. Let's show the step so you guys can see where I'm getting these numbers from. So 4 times 8, or you can rewrite the reverse of that. 8 times 4 is the same thing. So 2k simplifies to 2k. Sorry about that, guys. I meant to say 2 times k simplifies to 2k equal to, don't forget to bring your equal sign. When we simplify 4 times 8, that should give us 32. Now remember, we have to do the opposite of the operation here in order to isolate the variable. So in other words, our operation that we use here was multiplication. So the opposite of multiplication would be division. So therefore, in order to isolate k, we need to divide by 2 on both sides of the equation, and then we will simplify our equation. Remember, you can do this in your calculator. You don't have to do it in your head. Use your calculator. So 2 over 2 just becomes 1, so you're left with k. And 2 goes into 32 how many times? And everyone should be saying 16, right? And that's pretty much it. Remember, you are allowed to use a calculator. Yes, use a calculator. If for some reason you don't have a calculator, you can always go to this website, like we did it in class, desmos.com. And if you go to desmos.com, it will allow you to use a graphing calculator, actually. So you can do graphs, you can multiply numbers, subtract, add, the whole thing, okay? So there it is. If you have any questions, please let me know. And remember to subscribe to the channel for more videos. And hit the like button if you enjoyed the video, if it was helpful to you. And remember, we teach a new lesson like this one almost every single day. I'm Mr. Solis, and I'll see you on the next one.